So we want to welcome you all to the Small Business Forum. It's an opportunity for you to connect with your fellow business owners, learn from experts and from each other. Please participate in introductions and the conversation as we go along today, or simply stay on mute when you're not participating. Please post your email to Julie Preddy and we'll send you notes, links, and other useful information for the forum. We will be recording this for ASBTDC education purposes. And as an attendee, we will also email you a copy of the presentation and recording. Even though we don't have a presentation today, we just have our beautiful panel here today. So I want to we love staying connected and to provide support after today. I'm Amy Robinson, and I'm here with my colleague and co-host Chris Case. Say hello, Chris. We're specialty consultants with ASBTDC, and I'm going to turn it over to her to tell you a little bit about the center.
Great. Well, hi, everybody. My name is Chris Case, like Amy said, and the ASBTDC is a one-stop shop for startups and existing small businesses. We are associated with the University of Arkansas and affiliated with the SBA and the statewide ASBTDC, as well as a national network of more than 1,000 small business centers. Now, locally, we do offer complimentary one-on-one consulting that includes business planning, marketing analysis and strategy, financial modeling, and much, much more. We also offer programs just like this one, covering the relevant topics that business owners that have, and a lot of questions that we answer along the way. But if you're not already a client, we encourage you to visit us at sbtdc.uark.edu. Amy, back over to you.
Thank you. And pass the mic.
Pass the mic.
And pass the mic. Today, we're going to talk about e-commerce and how small businesses have been adapting to the constant change of the past year and making it work for the future. The next normal, as we've been calling it in the office. Today, we have Lisa Purkayastha. Is that right, Lisa? Did I do it?
That was actually perfect.
Okay, good. She's with Khana, India Grill. Lauren Blanco with Markham Fitz. Lauren. And Coleman Warren of Simple and Sweet. We will tell you, I'd love to just kind of dive right in because we want this to be a conversation. And I'm wondering if you would all tell us and just kind of do a go round. Tell us a little bit about your company and maybe one of the primary things that you've learned about the benefits of adding or expanding e-commerce to your business. Who wants to be brave and go first?
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. I'm Lisa Perkiasa. I first started working with the ASBTDC when my husband and I sold our leather manufacturing company and decided to start something new. We envisioned a restaurant and started working on financial projections and didn't know how to do it. So we found the Small Business Development Center and were amazed at the services that were offered to us. And it was really helpful as we worked toward the opening of our restaurant almost 7 years ago. We went ahead and started our restaurant. And then last year during the pandemic, the Small Business Development Center contacted us. And I think we thought by then that we weren't a startup anymore and we didn't want to use services that might go to a smaller, more deserving business trying to start up. But you guys assured us that was not the case and that you had actually added services during the pandemic. And that's been really valuable to us. So I'm here in the capacity of just being glad to give back to all of you who have helped us so much. When we were starting our restaurant, one of the solutions that we were looking for was an app. This was in 2014. So we were looking for an app so people could order from their phones, and there were not very many systems that were available to us and affordable. We found that we could go through a POS system and add an app onto it. And we found a Canadian company that was offering that. And they were also offering EMV capabilities. And this was at the time when chip cards were being implemented and the US was in a conversion process. Since the company we identified was in Canada and they already had this technology and they already had the app, we went with it. And it was the company called VivoNet. That was at a time when you had to purchase hardware, and software wasn't as much a part of the recipe. So 3 years go by, technology changes. We start looking for an upgrade to our POS system that would allow us to communicate even more freely with our customers. And we found Square. And Square is good in the sense that it's big enough to have a very good online interface for people that are just adopting that type of technology, but they're small enough to have personal interaction with their client base. So when we pick up the phone, we know that we can get a person on the phone and get answers. Maybe I should stop there and ask if what I'm saying is clear and if anybody has any questions to this point.
Well, what I love about this, Lisa, is that you're talking about kind of when just technology being incorporated into business early on, and how it's been growing and changing. And yes, we all remember the chip.
Yes.
And I don't think we realize how people had been limping along to that point, and how really important it was. And it wasn't just an annoying message from your bank being like,
exactly,
place your card. Lauren, you have a really so you have Markham Fitz, and you have an in-person store, and so love to hear about kind of what you were doing before the pandemic with e-commerce, and maybe what some of the benefits that you found in developing that through the pandemic have been.
Oh man.
Okay. I know it's a big question. We'll have lots of time. We'll split it all up.
Okay. Cool. So yeah. So I own a company called Markham Fitz. We manufacture chocolate from the raw ingredients from the cocoa beans, and we were primarily focusing on our brick and mortar store and wholesale distribution as our main sales channels before the pandemic. And it was just, it was kind of what we had that worked for us, and we were just kind of focusing on that. And so when the pandemic hit and everyone's, customer behavior, changed instantly. Everyone was already online, but it just drastically impacted the way people were shopping. Obviously, everyone has experienced that, whether you're a customer or a business owner. You've probably been shopping from your phone, or maybe more than you did before.
Especially for chocolate, yeah.
The necessities.
Yeah. So kind of, the overnight shift for us, we moved, kind of like Lisa was talking about Square. We also use Square, but then we we actually use Shopify to run our e-commerce. And so we decided to move the whole POS to Shopify along with e-commerce. And then we were going to do like deliveries locally. And we did local deliveries through our Shopify site for like 4 to 6 months. And then we cut it off and we switched only to shipping chocolate. So, we made a lot of like kind of jerky shifts, like trying to adapt to everything that was happening. But I would say kind of overall what I've learned in e-commerce is, one, in general, like everyone is shopping online. And so finding a way for your business to fit in that space, or for us, it's been really, really important and critical, I think, for our survival and our ability to grow past this kind of global crisis. So, that's been really pivotal, I think, for me to learn, is how important it is for us to understand what does it mean to sell chocolate online and to create a customer experience online for people that wouldn't maybe normally come in our store or visit on vacation. We had lots of tourists in Bentonville. And so kind of anyway, that's kind of a summary, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's great. And it also, I think that, when we'll talk a little bit more about it, but what it looks from this point forward, when you've made a shift like that, when you've implemented e-commerce, how it affects the future and the next normal and the next and the next. Coleman, I would love to, so you just started your business in the middle of a pandemic, because apparently that's what you do. And, and you went all out e-commerce, but with a very unique product. So tell us about that.
So I think an important part of like my story and all this is that we were e-commerce out of necessity. Like, and I like really very much so. So like I remember we were working with ASBTDC. I was talking with Mary Beth about like looking for a storefront. Like we wanted to rent somewhere and then like really look at how we could get all the equipment and have like this experience. And then, March 12th or whatever hit. And we had 30 gallons of ice cream and nothing to do with it. We were doing like market sampling, right? Like we would bring out the ice cream and like give it to people for free and like get feedback. And we just had a bunch of stuff we didn't know. And so we started a Shopify page, and I bought a bunch of little 4-ounce cups, and we took all this ice cream, and this is brutal, like just like the physical labor, but like, and put it all into 4-ounce cups and then sold it online, and it sold out in like 24 hours. Like it was unbelievable. And so we, I don't know how, like, I really don't know how, but it was like, and it was also cheap. We put it on there for cheap. So that's a big contributing thing. But it was like, oh, wow, this could work. Like if we could, we made that 30 gallons, that initial one, with a guy that lives really far away from here. So it wasn't feasible for us to like make the ice cream again. Right. And the machine that we use is so expensive and we couldn't afford it. It was like, what are we going to do? But we knew that if we could somehow get the equipment, somehow have a place to make it, we could sell it with this online environment. And so that's exactly what we did. And in late October, we launched, and everything is online. I mean, like we advertise through Instagram. I've paid for a little bit of like Instagram ads, and people go to the store, and like that is our storefront at this point, in regard to the pandemic. And so, yeah, we sell pints and delivery. You have to pay for delivery. If you buy 3 pints, delivery is free. And then Shopify handles all the delivery. Like they create the route for you. They optimize the route for you. All you need is to have someone be able to drive it. And then you can, just do odometer readings and pay for that. And it's really worked well for a kind of local product and just getting it out to customers.
That's great. Lauren, back to you. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about, you said you made a lot of little jerky kind of decisions along the way, but you also had some national kind of publication and some national people noticing you nationally. Can you tell us a little bit more about that and kind of how you got into that?
Sure. So that kind of came later into the pandemic, when we'd kind of run through the local delivery program that we built, and we're kind of exploring, what are those options for long-term survival. And really we knew that e-commerce was the route, but we had to make some pretty big changes to make that happen. And I had been in touch with a couple of people that could place us on The View, which is managed by Good Morning America, or the Today Show. And so we'd been in some talks, and I was like, man, if we're going to get this kind of exposure, if we have to build the kind of inventory that those shows require, really had to shift gears and hire more people. And we had to build like 4 months of inventory to supply for those shows. But it was kind of that like make or break decision point around August, where we decided to commit and, to the first show and say, we're going to give this a shot and see if it helps us build e-commerce. The theory was, if we can get some national exposure, we can build an email list, we can build our social platforms, and hopefully kind of bolster our e-commerce, which was just, I want to say, next to nothing. I mean, it was not reliable. It was a very, very minimal sales channel before the pandemic. And so that was kind of, we had kind of the opportunities and the connections that were lingering. And so I was like, I wanted to give attention to it to see if it would work. So we did go on The View in October, and that was kind of our first one. And then we had the opportunity to go on the Today Show for a Valentine's segment.
Huge for chocolate.
Yes, which was great for chocolate.
Huge for chocolate. Well, and I think that I like that, you know, Chris, that you pointed out just the pivots, because that's what we're hearing all the time. And Lisa, I know that in the restaurant industry, e-commerce is not the first thing that comes to mind. At the same time, during this pandemic, that's been really, really important for you, just that online presence and communication and information and keeping a stream of revenue. So what were some of the pivots? And you know what, Lauren, you said a lot of keywords were there, the make or break. We've heard a lot about that, and just kind of some big, like you made a big investment. So Lisa, I'm curious about kind of what that looked like for you from a restaurant perspective.
Yeah, and Lauren did a great job of summing up 2020 and kind of the experience that we had too. So thanks, Lauren, for that. I want to distinguish too, Coleman and Lauren have pivoted to Shopify because they have a direct customer fulfillment model that can go through a delivery mechanism, whether it's the US Postal Service or FedEx or UPS. We have a different kind of customer delivery in that it's in person at our location. So Square for us works better. Square actually has a Square for Restaurants division. And what makes Square good for us is that there is a loyalty program that is integrated. One of the things that we were looking at when we switched to Square is that in order to make all of these aspects of our online presence work together, there was a lot of patching it together. Square offered a way to either have third-party providers that already had an integration with the Square platform, or Square was in the process of developing those platforms themselves. So what did that mean for us? We converted to Square in September of 2019 after about a 9-month process that we really drug our heels on, because as Lauren identified, pre-pandemic, you know, our to-go orders were a part of our business, but they weren't the focus of our business. So we kind of took our time switching over, because we have to photograph all of our meals. We have to do all of the things that come with that shift. And, but what that meant was that when the pandemic hit, we were already in place. We already knew how to take orders online through the integration with Square. We already knew how to package them. We already knew how to communicate with our customers. So that shift from 20% of our business to 100% of our business was much easier. Then in July, no, it was not July, it was September of last year, Square introduced QR codes. So you could order from your outdoor patio or from your car through a QR code at our location and have your order fulfilled. And so that was really valuable to us. And we were one of the first adopters of Square's use of these QR codes. So we worked through everything. And we were able to get each picnic table that we had on our patio, 10 of them, to have their own QR code. And so then it went directly to our kitchen, and the servers knew which table to place the order, so we could bring it out to that table. So all of that was really helpful through Square. And again, because we were one of the first adopters, Square reached out to us, and we are now in Square's marketing campaign, because we said, you know, we really like what you do. When the pandemic hit, Square also reached out to their customers and said, we're suspending your fees for 2 months. That's the only apart from, we have had a lot of support through PPP, through you guys, through a lot of other agencies, so to speak, but that was the only person that we do business with was Square that offered anything like that. You know, our landlord didn't help. None of the other business vendors offered help, but Square did. So we were grateful. And so that has been a positive thing for us too. We gave back to them by participating in their whole marketing campaign. So I think going forward, we recognize too that we only want to continue to build our e-commerce business. And so we will continue to work with Square, look for solutions on how to make it easy. Because as Lauren said, people are out there shopping in that space. We just need to provide the easiest way for them to tap into us through their normal habits, and then us tailoring ourselves to the way people shop.
That's great. Well, Coleman, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is you're very young and you're very ambitious, and you're figuring out a lot of this very quickly on the fly. It looks like to some of us old people that you're definitely on top of things. But so with the e-commerce part of the success of e-commerce is obtaining information, contact information, you know, for clients, current clients and future clients. Have you kind of shifted your thought process on that a little bit, or how are you obtaining contact information?
Sure. Well, I mean, every time someone places an order, for us to be able to deliver to them and like have it be not a complete pain, because like we have ice cream, right? We need their contact information, and we prefer a phone number, and they also prefer phone numbers usually. And so that's just part of whenever you order from us. We haven't done anything with that information yet. And I'm not sure, like, as like a personal, like, as a consumer, you know, as a customer, like, I don't know if I would want someone like emailing me or like messaging me about like reordering. But at the same time, like, one message is like a reminder or something every like quarter or something like that, I feel like is not unrealistic. I hope that answers the question. Yeah. That's how we collect their information, because we have to.
Yeah, I think that, well, so, you know, e-commerce, we're, you know, and thank you, Lisa, for pointing out the differences, because we have, there are a lot of different e-commerce sites. It really does depend on your business. We had Nicely Built has done a program for us in the past, and we have her recordings, Natasha, on our website, and that it was really how to choose the right e-commerce platform, which goes into e-mailing. And I think, Lauren, you had mentioned, you know, how really you didn't have your email list was probably, you know, here's a sale, but it was really to drive people into your store. And so what is the emailing list looking like for you now? And how do you feel like utilizing that is going to be helpful for you in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's been something I've been thinking a lot about the past several months. When we first started our business 7 years ago, you know, email was a topic of conversation, you know, that I was thinking about it. We've been building our email list for years, and it's been very kind of grassroots in a way that, like, most of the people that are on it are interested in what we're doing. And it's all been, a lot of it was like farmers markets, handwritten email lists that we would manually type in, you know, like over the years. And so we kind of went from that kind of core email list to getting national exposure and people from all over the country kind of filtering into our email list as well. And so I mean, over the past year, it's been interesting because we also use Square for our POS at the 8th Street Market. We switched back after we switched to Shopify. We separated the two again, so we operate Shopify and Square separately. And so Square had a great like marketing platform, and I really liked using it to connect with customers who came in store. But we recently started using since we pivoted to e-commerce, we started using a program called Klaviyo that automates and sends emails and had a really good reputation among people that I was getting advice from about email marketing. And so I think we have learned that it's been a really powerful platform for us to reach our customers. We're learning that our customers do want to receive our emails. So that's great. And I'm like you, Coleman, I'm like, I don't know if I want to sign up for more emails, but depending on the customer, like a lot of people want to hear from us and they want our products and they want to know what's new and what to get and when to get it, you know? And so we're trying to make that as available as we can. And email is a great way to do it, especially as a lot of the social platforms often change algorithms and stuff. Email, in theory, you have more control over. Anyway, it's a powerful platform. We will continue to try and build that up.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of a community thing anymore now, where communication is so digital now. Lisa, how is that building for you? And I mean, restaurants were not traditionally emailers either. So
I'm gonna back up a minute and touch on something that Chris raised, because I really feel strongly about this, and it's the responsibility of data collection. We all know now, everybody's seen the documentaries on, or I hope everybody's seen them, on Cambridge Analytica and social network on, that data collection is a bigger industry than oil. It's monetized and it's all out there. And with so many things these days, we realize that we all have to make decisions about our business. And it falls, unfortunately, to the business owner these days. We're having to make pandemic decisions about exposure for our employees, for our dining room, things like that. But we're also called on to make decisions about what we do with the information that's presented to us through a customer transaction. Okay, there's a lot of data that can be captured. I feel very strongly about not exploiting that, because I don't want to be exploited myself, as Coleman and Lauren have so correctly identified. I don't want to have my data captured and then be marketed back to in a really aggressive way. Similarly, we put a lot of thought into what we do once we have that data. Of course, we're never going to sell it. We're never going to do anything like that. But we also want to be respectful about the way we approach our customers through email efforts. And so, yes, Square offers a platform for that, but we don't exploit it. We want to appeal to the people that want to hear from us, but we don't want to burden the people that don't. So I would like to see more discussions about that. And maybe that is very specific topic, but I think it's really important that business owners think about that, because as we ramp up our online business or our e-commerce business, then we do have the ability to capture more data. What do we do with it? How do we respond to it and all of that? So
I think that's a great.
Did that answer your question, Amy?
Absolutely. 1000%. And then some, as usual with you.
Oh, okay.
It's a good thing. And
Okay.
we actually do have email marketing has come up several times. We've had a couple of, how to build your email marketing list. And one of our consultants, Melina Urso, will be having a workshop in May. And so we'll definitely let her know about this topic and to kind of touch on it within the workshop. But I have an email list. Now what? So, and I do think that, that kind of leads into what is the future of your business and what is the future with e-commerce, because that is definitely one of the things that I think everybody has learned is there's this, yes, we're very digital, but we're also so much more community minded and community oriented now. And so what are these, what is this marriage between this digital online life like we're having right now? And how do you continue to create those intimate experiences, connection with your customers and community and collaboration? because as small businesses, Coleman, you mentioned, I want to have, now I've done the e-commerce thing. I'd really like to have an in-person store for a minute. But what does this look like now, this hybrid model moving forward, and how, what's the good of it, and how are you going to keep it moving forward? Anyway.
Coleman, she was talking to you.
I know. I didn't know there was a question. I just thought it was a great, yeah.
It's a great statement. No.
Yeah.
How are you gonna keep it going, Coleman?
Okay. All right. So that's actually something we're definitely, like, as the world's opening back up. I noticed, like, at competitors, lines getting longer, and like I said, ice cream's an instant gratification purchase. I think I mentioned this before we started recording, so I'll reiterate. Ice cream tends to be something that you are like, oh, I'm craving it, I'm going to go get it right now. And with the model we're operating, for it to be economically feasible, we have to, like, the consumer has to wait, anywhere from 2 to 5 business days. That's a long time, and you've really got to love our ice cream and want it around, like, be willing to wait on it. And so for the future, it's a matter of, like, we want to keep e-commerce around. We want to keep this part of our model around because some people really prefer to have a pint in their freezer, but ultimately it's how can this sustain us through a pandemic to get back when things are normal and what ice cream looks like traditionally. So that's what we're looking to. And Lisa's been super helpful with that already. And trying to find a food trailer potentially would help with that. But anyway, e-commerce, I think for us, is more of a temporary solution.
Fantastic.
Well, and Coleman, like I said earlier before we started recording too, what you've done is you've enticed people like me that just bought some ice from you today with your mission. And so I'm willing to wait 4 to 10 to 20 days, not that long, but I'm willing to wait that long because you have tied a mission, a really great mission to your business. So tell us a little bit about that, because I think that's part of the sale right there.
That is, I appreciate that. Yeah, that is. And that's been a huge part of, I think, why the selling ice cream online has worked is we donate meals through the Northwest Arkansas Food Bank. And that's the primary mission. I think when it comes to, like, the Simple and Sweet brand, like, I intend to stay in Arkansas. Like, I think a lot of the brand revolves around the fact that, like, I had an experience as an AmeriCorps Vista, and I care a lot about child hunger, and then I care a lot about Arkansas. And I want to do whatever I can to help fight child hunger in Arkansas and just make this state a better place. And so we want to create a brand that is about love, it's about comfort, and it's about generosity. And so that's played a huge role in allowing the e-commerce platform to work for us, because, like you just said, and I really appreciate when I hear that, is like, people believe in what we're doing and they're willing to wait on the ice cream. But I think for me, it's also like, there's so much perceived potential as well for if it were even easier to get it. And so anyway, yeah.
Well, that's part of that hard work of the customer experience, right? That Lauren, you mentioned it, and Lisa as well. You said when you went to go put everything online, how do you put that personal experience into an online format and the pictures? And it really is a huge investment. So continuing to help it, have it continue to work for you is fantastic. And Lauren, I think that you maybe have a little different perspective on what you're going to come out with on the other end, because you've done a big business model shift, a big investment. And so what does, as the world opens up little by little, what does that look like for you and Markham Fitz?
That's a great question. I feel like I'm
still the question.
Sometimes I feel like I'm running in like a figure eight. Like, it's not totally a circle, but it's, like always running with new ideas as far as like how the business is going to adapt over time. I think for me, it's really hard to predict exactly how everyone's behavior will change or stay the same. Are people going to keep ordering online as much as they do? Are they going to get out more and still order online? I think the reality for us is that no matter what, the market for shipping chocolate online is just so much bigger than we've ever capitalized on. So like we have to continue to invest in that area. So, and build a stronger sales channel. Retail, that it will come back, at least better than it has been. I don't know that I'm convinced yet that it will look like 2019 again. Although I'd like for it to. So I think we're also rethinking too, like, what do our customers need and want in the area? Should we rethink how we offer chocolate to people locally, as much as online, and how do we continue to evolve in a way that keeps our customers happy and, meeting those chocolate needs that people are looking for, and also stay true to our brand and who we are and our mission.
Yeah, you all have been
Well,
really important. Sorry,
Yeah.
Chris, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and Lauren, your brand is really neat because looking back on, you visited your first cocoa farm years ago, and that's, I think, what gave you the inspiration in these countries that are less fortunate than us, and that's where your supply chain comes from also. So, I mean, your whole story is really inspiring and neat, and the fact that you put that out on your website and you tell the story, I think is a part of your mission and your brand too, that helps with e-commerce.
Thank you. Yeah, I agree. I think mission is kind of like you guys were talking about. Mission is central to connecting with people. I believe that brands have a soul, in their own way.
They do.
I think that that's what people connect to. That's how I operate as a human, and that's what I connect to with other people and companies. And I want to buy from companies that have a mission or a purpose that is meaningful to me. And so that definitely is kind of at the heart of chocolate making for us, back from when we started. I think it's evolved over time. I think we keep learning new things every day, and we continue to refine what it is that really matters to us and how we are going to go about celebrating people.
Exactly, celebrating people.
Mhm.
Lisa, you're a great celebrator of people, and so I'd really like to. And restaurant business is all about people, and it was all
Yes.
about people coming into your store. And I think that you've mentioned several times about community and collaboration being kind of one of the outcomes that you see happening in the future. So what does all of this look like for you as doors start cracking open a little bit wider?
Yep. I think there has been a paradigm shift over the course of my lifetime for how people look at companies they buy from. We used to just accept a packaged message in the form of advertising that told us about the company, and people bought into that and bought products. That's not enough anymore. People want to know who they're dealing with, as Lauren pointed out. And then you have people like Coleman, who is a social entrepreneur. So he's a businessman, but his profits are going to do good. We started with the intention of entrepreneurship, but we knew that we wanted to do good along the way. So it used to be that the idea was that you could either have purpose behind your business or profit behind your business. And our thinking is we want to have purpose and profit. So when I reach out to somebody like Coleman, I see the energy and the ideas and the intent are all really refreshing and aligned with what we want to do. And if I can help him not burn out at some point, because at some point, you are going to come to forks in the road in what you're doing, Coleman. And I would like to help you build a sustainable business that helps support you on your goals too. So I think our mission is, there are several statements that we could use to define it, but in this case, I think it would be purpose and profit. Let's do good along the way. Let's partner with people who share kind of our approach to doing things, who have a transparency about what they're doing, that look at big ideas and think that they can bring them to fruition. And some of your ideas are short term, they're in the next few days. Some are in the near horizon. And then, as you've heard before, some might take 25 to 30 years to implement. But really, it's partnering with people along the way that can help you get there. So, you know, right now, people are putting their thoughts and feelings out to the forefront in a way that hasn't been done before. I'm gonna just put this out there, but I'm a big fan of Glennon Doyle. She wrote Untamed. And one of the things that she says is, you know, all the things that are dissolving now in the business sphere, you know, the more people with intent and purpose can rebuild them. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't make money. People have to support themselves. People have to fund the expansion and growth of their business and provide services to their employees and all of those things. So the challenge is, how can we do that hand in hand, purpose and profit? So
I have to say amen to all of that. Absolutely. The more you make, the more good you can do in the world sometimes.
That's right.
That's fantastic. Well, as a lunch break conversation, we're coming to the end of our time, but obviously we could talk to all of you, and we talk to each other for much longer, and we will. But we want to thank you so much for being here today. We are going to be hosting this forum on the last Wednesday of each month at 12. In April, we're going to be talking about hiring and keeping good people. And so if you are watching this recording and you would have a topic that you'd like for us to cover, you can email me at amyr@uark.edu, or you can email Chris at ccase@walton.edu with any of your suggestions. Chris, can you let everybody know how to stay in touch with us in the meantime?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you can find a full listing of our workshops. You can see our videos, our past webinars and workshops, our future webinars and workshops, along with a lot of other tools that are very helpful for all kinds of small businesses. And you can find us at sbtdc.uark.edu, or please remember, you can also follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. So you can find out all the information that you need to know on those social platforms also. But you guys, it has been so great to talk to you three. You guys are definitely an inspiration. And Lisa, I love that profit and purpose. I think you might need to write your own book, because that would be one of the best books that we could possibly read. But until next time, you guys, thank you again for coming, and we will hopefully see you soon.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you so much.
See you